Jenny Sim claims she was injured after her roommate's sister shoved her during an argument. Carrie and Melissa Smith say the plaintiff was pushed away after she damaged Carrie's phone. The Smiths are countersuing for $251.28.
Hello, ladies. I see I've got Jenny Sim here as my plaintiff and two defendants, Melissa and Carrie Smith. I see, Ms. Sim, you are suing for $430. And then I see the defendants are countersuing for $251.28. Ms. Sim, why are we in court today?
Hello, Your Honor. So we're here today because I am suing for the $430 that I accumulated in medical bills. I was living with the defendant, Melissa, for a while, and then her sister, Carrie, moved in. And basically, one night we had an argument, and Carrie came in and pushed me. I sprained my wrist, and the $430 is the emergency room visit bill.
So you two had a fight?
Melissa and I were arguing, and then Carrie stepped in the middle to do what? I don't know.
Okay, who's Melissa and who's Carrie?
I'm Melissa.
You're
I'm
Melissa
Carrie.
and you're Carrie. Okay, so you said Carrie
Yes, Your Honor.
is who you're alleging Ms. Sim put her hands on you?
Carrie put her hands on me, yes.
Okay, so tell me the context. First of all, how do you know these two ladies? How long had you lived with the first? All of that.
So Melissa and I met in college through some mutual friends. We were in a
Okay.
mutual friend group.
Okay.
We weren't the closest friends, but we were in a friend group. And then after college...
Were you real friends, Ms. Sim, or were you frenemies?
We weren't frenemies, no.
Okay.
I didn't have anything...
It was giving frenemy vibes, right?
No, I mean, now
Okay,
it's...
Okay, Ms. Sim, so I'm going to stay with you. Go ahead.
So we weren't the closest of friends, but we were friends.
Okay.
From what I knew of her, it seemed like she'd be a compatible roommate.
Okay, and
So
this is after graduation?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit after. And so we moved in together, and it was great. She was a compatible roommate.
Paid her bills on time?
Yes.
That's the most important part. That's the
thing.
most important part of a compatible roommate, so that we're clear.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
She wasn't the perfect roommate, but it was compatible. And then her sister, Carrie, moved in. So Melissa and I were living together for a year, and it was fine. And then Carrie moved in for just a few months, 3 months, and
did she move into her own, meaning, was this a 3-bedroom unit, or did Carrie move it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't know if
So-
she moved in with her sister, like in the room with her sister. Yeah.
Melissa and I had, it was a 3-bedroom, just she and I had, but
Yeah.
we had that extra, the spare room as a guest room.
Got it.
And then extra storage, just.
Okay, so then Carrie moves in and occupies that room, and she's also paying, so now the bills are split 3
No,
ways?
she's not paying.
Okay, tell me more.
So so when we first discussed it, it was just going to be temporary.
Okay.
Like we're just giving her a place to stay while she was in between jobs.
Oh, for free?
Yes.
And you agreed to that?
Yes, because
Okay, I'm just being clear.
I didn't expect it to be for as long as it was. Like
What did you expect it to be, ma'am?
we didn't discuss how long she would be there.
Okay, continue.
But for the thing that we did discuss is that it was, quote, temporary while she's in between jobs.
Okay.
So I'm thinking like a month at the most, not 3 months. At the most, like I hope you would get a job within a month if you're really being proactive and applying every single day and not just trying to mooch off your sister
Okay.
and her roommate.
Okay, and what did her presence on the property rather do to the living harmony?
Disrupted it.
Okay, tell me specifically how.
So Melissa and I, like I said, the arrangement was fine before she got there.
For the first year?
Yes.
You two were together. Okay, go ahead.
The only issue I had, if it was really an issue, was that I was doing a little bit more when it came to responsibilities around the household, cleaning, cleaning pretty much.
Yeah.
And I understand that I have a different standard than most people, so I was doing a little bit more around the house, basically.
Okay.
And I was okay with that. It was just like one other person I was doing a little bit more when it came, like I was cleaning up
But
after.
once Carrie came in, let me guess, you started doing a whole lot more.
Oh yeah, and there was just more to do, basically.
Well, that's what happens when a third grown person moves into a residence.
But I mean, I wasn't, like when I was cleaning up after Melissa, it's not like I'd go and put her dishes away. Like she was fine
Well,
with
were you doing that for Carrie?
No.
Okay.
But I would have to deal with seeing all that stuff around the apartment, which I never had to really deal with when it was just me and Melissa.
Okay, so this happens for 3 months. At what point does the confrontation occur?
August 1st. So on that, and so it was pretty much, she was there for 3 months. We had our fight, and then she was gone.
Talk about the fight, ma'am. Let's get to why we're here.
Carrie and Melissa stayed home one night having a girls' night in, whatever, and then I went out that night. When I got home in the morning, it was a mess. And before this night, there had been many instances where I spoke to Melissa and was like, letting her know that I was upset with how things were.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
I was like, what is this?
What does that mean? You popped off. What do you cussed her out? You yelled at her? What'd you say?
I wouldn't say I cussed her out, but I cussed at her.
Equal Justice is back with the case of Jenny Sim, who blames Carrie and Melissa Smith for her injured wrist.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I came home to the biggest mess I'd seen. And after the months of me talking to Melissa about how I felt with
What did you do, Miss Sim? Stop beating around the bush. What did you do?
I pretty much popped off on her. I like went off. I was like, what is this?
What does that mean? You popped off. What do you cussed her out? You yelled at her? What'd you say?
I wouldn't say I cussed her out, but I cussed at her.
So you cussed her out. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I came home really, I'm coming home at 8 o'clock in the morning and it's a mess.
Okay, so you cussed her out, and how did she respond? Let's move it along.
She got upset and loud too. So now we're just in the living room yelling at each other.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. We're just yelling. I'm upset with her about the mess. I'm saying.
So
like,
why are you suing for $430? Because it's not against the law to yell.
Okay, so then Carrie comes out of her room and gets in the middle of it, and long story short, pushes me.
It's long. No, it's not short, Miss Sim. It's long. It's a long story long.
It is a
and
long
I'm trying
story.
to get to long story
Okay,
short.
so she pushed me, and I fell, and I sprained my wrist when I broke my fall.
Carrie pushed you.
Yes. She got literally right in between us, and then pushed me, and I hit the ground, like I said, and
you
sprained my wrist.
Okay, now go ahead and please proffer up to my bailiff here any receipts of medical expenses. Thank you. No, the whole folder, please,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Let's see here. I see general procedures from a hospital. You had, of course, get an X-ray and non-surgical treatment, all totaling actually quite a lot. But fortunately, you do have some insurance coverage that ate into some of it, but you still had to come out of pocket $430. Okay, so you have paid and settled this bill, ma'am? You've paid this?
It's in collections.
Oh, okay. So you are depending on my ruling in your favor today to settle up your bill. Okay. All right. Let's see. Before I read these text messages, let me finally hear from the co-defendants here. Melissa, is she categorizing the roommate situation accurately? You two were college friends, sort of.
Yes, Your Honor.
You decided to cohabitate together to make
Yes.
the bills make sense. First year went pretty well, and then at some point you asked if your sister Carrie could stay temporarily while she found a job.
Yes.
Okay. And then what happened?
I thought things were still going well. I was really excited to have my sister around. We'd invited Jenny to attend some of the sister nights with us. She wasn't partaking,
You said
but
sister nights?
yeah.
I'm curious. What's a sister night? I gotta know. What a sister night is.
Yeah, we pick a romantic comedy and we get wine and snacks and all the blankets and cushions, and we just veg out in our pajamas.
Okay, well now we know what a sister night is. Okay, so now it's a sister night, and then what happens?
Yes, so we did leave our things out over the night. We had some blankets out, wine glasses, definitely snacks. It was late. We decided to go to bed. Jenny wasn't home. I woke up the next morning to go get a glass of water. Jenny storms through the door, starts yelling at me, saying everything needed to be picked up. I said, okay, I can get on it, but I don't know why you're coming in so aggressive toward me. It wakes up Carrie. She comes out, gets in the middle of it, and what Jenny forgot to mention in her statement is that she knocked Carrie's phone out of her hand first. It fell onto the floor, shattered to the screen, and out of a pure reaction of defense, that is when Carrie led to pushing her away.
But now, Carrie, why were you in it?
Well, I woke up from sleeping, heard terrible screaming and cussing, and I came out and saw her up in my sister's face, and so I was gonna figure out what was going on. I wanted to defend her. I wanted to figure out what was going on. I didn't know that she was upset about the mess.
Okay.
It was early in the morning, and we had plans to get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then clean things up. But then, things escalated. I I stepped in the middle of the two of them because they got really close to each other. Hindsight, I probably shouldn't have because the rest took place, but I thought I was defending my sister.
So you thought your sister was in peril.
Yeah.
You step in to defuse the situation, but end up getting your phone.
Yeah.
So what, was it slapped out of your
I
hand?
just had my phone in my hand.
Right.
I was talking very expressively. She...
Expressively or aggressively?
Expressively.
Okay, let's be clear.
Because
Okay.
I was just trying to figure out what was going on and also try to like create space between the two of us. Jenny then overreacted, smacked my
Well, that's
phone
your
out of my hand.
categorization. Go ahead.
Jenny swung her arm and it hit my phone and it fell and shattered the screen.
Okay.
Which is when the rest took place.
Okay. Now I'm going to collect a receipt because I'm sure you have a receipt to show me that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and give that to my bailiff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's look at the cost of this alleged phone damage here. I do see a cracked screen replacement. I mean, at this point, you must well buy a new phone because that was $251.28. And you have paid for this, ma'am?
Yes, I have.
Or is it in collections?
It's already been
That's the first
paid
I heard
for.
that one. Okay.
It has already been paid for.
So you're looking for reimbursement
Yes.
if I find in your favor today?
Yes.
Okay.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
That's a harmful or offensive touching of another. Unless, did you invite the push, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But
so
didn't
that-
she also assault me by hitting my hand with my phone?
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Jenny Sim, who blames Carrie and Melissa Smith for her injured wrist.
So my question is, you come into this dispute, which is elevated.
Yes.
Your thinking is to defend your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
You have your phone in your hand. You say that the plaintiff here swats at it, knocks it out, it's damaged, and you have to replace it.
Yes.
But then you admit, Carrie, that at some point you do put your hands on this woman.
Yes, kind
Was
of.
that in retaliation? No, tell the court the truth. Was that in retaliation? Or were you upset that your phone at this point is damaged and now you're pushing her in retaliation? Or how do you end up pushing her?
It happened sort of as a reaction to my phone being knocked out of my hand. It happened just about simultaneously. My phone fell. I swung back, and then we have a coffee table that was very, very close to her. She tried to move around it, was off balance, and that's why she fell. She wasn't falling because I had
I'm not even really concerned with her
aggressively pushed
fall,
her.
to be candid with you, ma'am. I'm more concerned with you putting your hands on her and propelling her physically in that
Understandable.
direction. Because table or no table, that once that contact was there, that's an assault. That's a harmful or offensive touching of another. Unless, did you invite the push, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But
so
didn't she also assault me by hitting my hand with my phone?
You didn't tell me she hit your hand with your phone. You told me that you came into the dispute trying to protect your sister's positioning and that your phone was swatted away.
Okay, I'll be more specific. She hit my phone out of my hand.
Okay.
It looked like an attack.
It felt like an attack
Okay, well,
as well.
I would expect you to say that, ma'am.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
You said you were just
I said I went like this, as in
You did
get
both.
I'm
out,
sorry,
like
sister,
get
can
out,
you-
go
can you-
away.
Can you demonstrate one more time again? Thank you. Okay.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with the case of Jenny Sim, who blames Carrie and Melissa Smith for her injured wrist.
Did you swat her phone out of her hand?
I was waving my arms to just get her away from me. Like she came, like I said, she got right into the middle of us. So I'm like, get away from me. And when I did this, my hand hit her hand, her phone, whatever.
But you're telling this court under sworn oath, you swore all these folks in, right?
Swore all of
Yes.
them in, Your Honor.
Okay, so Jenny, you're telling me that you did not intend to hit her phone, or did you? Did you
no,
really?
No, I did not intend to have her phone land on the ground, touch it at
Did
all.
you even see her phone?
I
Were you aware that the cell phone was in the mix between all of you three ladies having this argument?
Probably not.
Yes, she said, get that out of my face.
I said, get out of my face. She's like, I'm in the middle of arguing with her sister. It's heated. I'm not going to be paying attention to what she's holding when she comes up to me. Like, literally, it's just she's right in the middle of my face immediately. Like,
No, somebody's definitely lying because you're saying that she said, get that thing out of my face. So
Yes,
you're saying
ma'am.
she had acute awareness
Yes.
that a cell phone was at play, but you are saying, Jenny, that you had no such awareness and that the whole thing was a blur and you were just trying to defend yourself.
I know for sure I said, get out of my face. If I said, get that thing out of my face, like, it would be her phone in my face. But it was,
that's what she's saying,
she was
ma'am.
in my face.
Oh, okay.
Literally, it's her face, my face, Jenny's
was
face
not
right
that
behind her
close.
head. And she's saying she was being expressive with her, as she's talking, like, are you really, like, talking like this?
You
like,
just said you were doing that.
You said you were just
I
went
said
like
I went like
this.
this, as in
You did
get
both.
I'm
out,
sorry,
like
sisters,
get
can
out,
you-
go
can you-
away.
Can you demonstrate one more time again? Thank you. Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay, ladies, listen, I think I've heard enough here. Long story long, and I'm ready to rule.
Judge Eboni's verdict when equal justice returns. This is Equal Justice.
When you have a signed contractual roommate agreement, as you had with Melissa Smith here, you have to abide by those terms and conditions yourself. So you say, okay, little sis can come stay for a while, but you, as to your own admission to this court, ma'am, did not specify your expectation of what temporary meant. So therefore, this court does not feel like 3 months for a job search is extensive. What is not reasonable, though, Carrie Smith, is deciding to voluntarily insert yourself into an altercation, which could at any moment gotten physical between them, but then you brought your phone into the line of fire. You chose to do that. Nobody made you bring your cell phone into that. So therefore, your claim of $251.28 to your phone rather being damaged, this court will not recognize it. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Now let's get to the primary claim, ma'am. You are suing for $430 for fees associated with your wrist and your hospital bills and your physical injury. The court does feel that you also invited some level of harm. When you, as you admitted, popped off, you can't then control what the reaction is back to you. Therefore, I'm very sad that you were injured. I'm very happy that you seem to be in good physical condition today, but the $430 you incurred is your fault. Therefore, the plaintiff's case is also dismissed. That is my ruling.
Judge Eboni has ruled. Both cases are dismissed. Newton claims he had to issue refunds after an unruly passenger forced him to end a whale watching tour early. Aaron Hauser says he was just making a video with his friends. Mr. Newton overreacted.
Mr. Newton, I see you are suing the defendant for $1,788. Tell us why we're in court today.
We are in court today because, as you have just said, Your Honor, I'm suing Mr. Hauser for $1,788. I operate the Watch Whales With Us whale watching and sightseeing adventure tour.
Okay.
And due to his actions, I had to bring a boat back without getting my customers to see the whales because he and two of his friends were misbehaving and causing safety hazards on a recent tour last July.
Oh, wow. So you, this is your company that you run?
I'm the owner-operator. I've done this for
Excellent.
15 years.
How did this gentleman end up on your boat to begin with?
Well, we advertise. We advertise with flyers like this.
Okay, go ahead and give all your evidence, sir, to my
Just have
bailiff.
all of your evidence that
Yeah,
you're gonna
everything in
present
your
to the
folder,
judge.
please, so I can review.
Okay, the folder.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
We operate. We circulate these flyers widely throughout Monterey.
Thank you, sir.
We also have a shack along Fisherman's Wharf in Monterey, and we have a person posted near that shack trying to rope in.
So that's how you get your clients?
That's how we get our clients.
Okay.
He contacted me, and he and two of his friends wanted to celebrate his birthday out on the waves.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. He asked if he could bring champagne. We actually sell beer, soft drinks, and snacks.
So that's part of your business model?
That's part of our business model.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he was bringing champagne, and he wanted to have some mimosas, and understanding.
You accommodated that?
We accommodated it completely.
Okay,
And
great.
he brought that on with our permission. And it was I wanted it to be a very pleasant birthday
So where did
celebration.
it go left, Mr. Newton?
Well, it went bad because as you see, safety is one of the...
Yeah, I do see this contract. So you have all of your passengers read and sign this agreement prior to even getting out into the water.
Exactly.
Okay.
Our emphasis is, of course, a family activity, and of prime importance has to be safety.
Sure.
And
Because the stakes are so high. You're in the. To me, you know, Mother Nature. That this is their earth. We're just living in it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Your Honor. And we have children. In fact, on this boat, we had several children, ages maybe under 10.
So, Mr. Hauser, so the point of this excursion, this nice day of whale watching on the water for you and your two friends was to celebrate your birthday, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
and I heard that you submitted a video to the court for us to see?
I did, yeah. The first 15 minutes
Let's
or
see
so.
this right quick from the defendant so we can all get a sense as to what we're looking at here. Okay. Okay, it's a vibe. Okay, right?
I liked it.
I
thought
like it.
was good.
Okay, so this was something on social media?
Yeah. That was my friend Jody and my friend Luke. We were out just celebrating.
Okay. So you were 3 of the 20-ish passengers on this boat for this excursion.
Correct, yeah.
And Mr. Newton says that he approved you guys bringing your champagne, having your mimosa toast, and this sounds like all very lovely. Where did this go wrong in your opinion, sir?
Yeah, so I think that, so when we were filming the video, Mr. Newton came up and asked, hey, when you're done with the video, can we keep it down? We don't want to scare the whales or anything like that.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, of course. So, like I said, it took about 15 minutes to film the video. After that, we just kind of relaxed, but there was one instance when we were kind of in open waters where I went to use the bathroom. And I was coming out of the bathroom.
Oh, on the boat?
On the boat, correct.
Oh, honey, I didn't know where. I didn't know where you was going, Mr. Hauser. I said, I don't know if Mother Nature's gonna like that.
Yes,
okay.
no, my bad.
On the boat.
There was a restroom on the boat, and as I was coming out of the restroom, the door slammed behind me. I think it was the wind, and that's when Mr. Newton's assistant or first mate got upset, and then shortly after that, Mr. Newton announced that we were gonna turn the boat around.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
And you've got these little kids, and some of them might be from, inland and never, Iowa or somewhere like that, never been in the ocean, live on the open ocean.
Yeah.
And you wanted people to be safe.
And later,
I terminated my caregiving agreement. I walked into her house and this is what I saw.
What is
Justice is back with the case of Simon Newton, who brought Aaron Hauser to court for disrupting his whale watching tour.
Well, this was after they'd been advised several times to...
the defendant and his 2 friends?
Yeah, to tone down their celebration. Again, we expected them to shoot a social media video, and for the first 10 minutes or so, as you know, from Fisherman's Wharf to the breakwater, the water's extremely calm. There's no chance to spot whales, though you do have, sea lions and otters. But I figured I'd cut that at the end, because they were doing their video, and we're trying to arrange for this birthday party to be a success.
Right.
But when you hit the breakwater, you're in open ocean.
So at that point, you wanted him and the friends to sit down and just kind of chill out?
Well, not sit down, but they could stand at the rails and.
But you didn't want the filming. You didn't want them producing content at that point.
No, because that's again, it was distracting, particularly again to me and my crew, my first mate, and we were hoping that we would be able to do our normal presentation about the history of Monterey Bay, the settlement. So
there's a little bit of a lecture component here. It sounds like there's like an educational part.
Yeah, you see that from my brochure.
I do see that from the brochure. So, it literally says educational experience. You are correct, sir.
And
go ahead.
And there's singing and dancing and celebrating was making it difficult for other passengers to
engage in the educational part.
Engage in the educational part. Particularly, I was concerned because the ocean was rather choppy that day.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to both concentrate on the educational component, but most importantly,
the safety.
Safety, and particularly when that door to the bathroom slammed, And you've got these little kids, and some of them might be from, inland and never, Iowa or somewhere like that, never been on the ocean, live on the open ocean.
Yeah.
And you wanted people to be safe.
Okay, and then I see here, you two are communicating in this piece of evidence. This is you, Mr. Newton, speaking to the defendant. This weekend you took part in our whale watching tours. As I mentioned to you, that tour was cut short. You and your group impacted the trip greatly. After corresponding with other guests, we decided to refund each passenger. Because of the contract you signed, you are liable to pay for your actions. You owe the company $1,788. That's the amount of your claim here today that you guys need to repay. If I don't get a response, I'll have to take you to court. You do respond. Mr. Hauser, you say, I think what you're asking is ridiculous. You chose to turn the boat around. I didn't hear any passengers complaining. We were having fun, making a little video. You cannot actually expect us to pay you back. It was your decision to end our whale watching 30 minutes into the trip, and your decision to refund everybody. Don't put this on us. Is it true, sir, that you ended the trip just 30 minutes into it?
Because it takes about 10, 12 minutes to hit the breakwater.
Yeah.
And so you have to double that, 10, 12 minutes coming back. So that's 24 minutes. And then so we would have been out on the open water maybe 5 or 10 minutes, at which point I had repeatedly advised them to calm down. My first mate was on the radio with other whale watching boats, attempting to figure out a course to go find the whales. And they just kept their partying and going on. And one warning after another. And so about 5 to 10 minutes into the open ocean, I made the difficult decision because I wanted people to be safe.
Yeah.
And that's the prime, when you're operating a boat on the open ocean.
Yeah, safety first.
Safety has to be prime.
It does. Mr. Hauser, what do you have to say about all this? He's painting a picture that you and your friends were such a ruckus after him trying to accommodate some of your requests. He gave you an inch, you took a mile. You were so horrific and poorly behaved that you cost this man almost $2,000 in refunds to his other guest who did expect a certain experience.
Yeah, and like I said in my email, I think it's ridiculous. It took us about 15 minutes to shoot that short video, and you saw it. We weren't really being ruckus. We were just enjoying, taking off from the harbor.
Sure.
And he told us, hey, when you're done with this video, can you keep it down? And after that, we obliged.
And you did oblige that. All right, the court's ready to rule here. When you run a business, as you know, it is your obligation and your obligation alone to ensure a customer experience to your paying customers. I don't know that based off of just this video, if this is representative of the behavior, the energy, the vibes, for lack of a better term, if this is indicative of what the defendant and his friends were doing, I don't know that I'm categorizing this as disruptive. The court is not particularly convinced. Now, it could be the case, sir, that there were other behaviors, other activities that were more egregious than this, but you have not provided that proof to the court today. So I can only go on what I'm seeing. Therefore, this court will be dismissing the plaintiff's case. That's my ruling.
All rise.
Judge Eboni has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
I really do believe that his people should have been behaving better.
I apologize if it got a little out of hand, but I don't think it was unreasonable.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
What is this even saying?
It says like
war?
poisoner, abuser, liar.
I see con.
Con.
This is Equal Justice. Jamie Hunter claims she left her job as a caregiver after she learned a destructive squatter was living in her employer's home. Helen Grace says Ms. Hunter didn't fulfill her contract, so she doesn't deserve a dime.
Ms. Hunter, I see you are suing for $360. Tell me why you are in court today.
Your Honor, I am in court today because Helen hired me for caregiving services, and she did not pay me the remainder of the amount that she owes.
Okay, and were you caregiving to Ms. Grace or to a loved one of hers?
To Ms. Grace directly.
Okay.
She hired me on a 2-month period to just be with her while she slept, as that was our agreement, and that she would pay me weekly $720.
Okay. And so why are you suing for $360?
Because the last week that I was there, I was not able to complete my week based on circumstances that were going on within her home. And so I still feel like I'm entitled to the weekly pay that we agreed on. We never agreed on an hourly amount. It was always a weekly rate.
Okay, and do you have a contract, ma'am?
I do have a
Okay,
contract.
go ahead and give my bailiff all of the folder of all of your evidence, ma'am. Thank you. So I can take a look at what we've got going on. Thank you. Okay, I do see a caregiving agreement between the ladies. Now, what am I looking at here, ma'am? Let's see for the courtroom to see here on the plasma, these two photos. This looks a hot mess. What is this, ma'am?
So what you're looking at is the reason that I terminated my caregiving agreement with the plaintiff. I walked into her house on Thursday morning, and this is what I saw.
What is this?
It is a bedroom door, I'm assuming. We never went into these bedrooms. We didn't access that part of the house.
What is this even saying? Something
It says
like war?
like poisoner, abuser, liar,
I see con.
Coming up on Equal Justice.
It is a shattered mirror, and they were right next to each other. It was frightening.
This is Equal Justice. Equal Justice is back with a dispute between Jamie Hunter and her former employer, Helen Grace, over withheld wages.
I mean, after I took the picture, I just kind of scurried away because it's scary.
I mean, this is very scary. Yeah, this is very unnerving. Okay, and let's see the other photo. Okay, so this is a broken mirror. What is this?
It is a shattered mirror, and they were right next to each other. It was frightening.
Okay, Miss Grace, what are we looking at here?
A hot mess.
Yes. I would agree.
I've been living with this for 3 years.
Okay.
I was helping out a friend who said that this woman needed a place to stay for a month. And I allowed...
In your home?
In my home.
Okay.
So in this room, actually.
Okay.
Well, she was a hoarder and wouldn't leave.
Oh, she started off as a hoarder and turned into a squatter.
Squatter is what she turned into. So for 3 years, I've been trying...
For 3 years?
For 3 years, I've been
Miss
trying to get her
Grace.
out of my house.
Okay.
So I have had other people come and stay with me. She's never done anything like this before. She would just stay in her room and she would, I don't know how she existed, really. But I never saw her except through legal papers and things like that. So I had hired this woman to be with me. And I said 2 months.
Okay.
Jamie.
Yes, okay,
and
this woman, yeah.
we really got along well for the first 2 weeks. It was very nice. And then on the third week, she was doing some gardening, and she saw the back window open of a part of the house we don't go to, namely that part.
Oh.
It's not that I saw the window open. The window was closed every time I went back there. I was doing some gardening for her, and the garden is kind of adjacent to the backyard, so you'd walk around the side of the house to get to the backyard.
And just so we're all clear, this is a very expansive property, it sounds like, Miss Grace. This is almost like you don't have to be modest, it's okay, you did this America, you're supposed to do good. So the intention was for Jamie here to never see or have to engage with that?
Ever.
And then what did you feel or do next?
It escalated. As the days passed, more things started happening.
Judge Eboni's verdict when Equal Justice returns. This is Equal Justice.
So what did you tell her exactly?
I said exactly what I told you. I said, I didn't want to tell you right away because she's never, ever done anything. I said, I just don't want you to freak out.
But she did freak out.
She totally freaked out.
And also, I think it's reasonable that anybody seeing that crazy, as you self-described, a hot mess, would freak out.
It was scary.
I totally agree.
Right. Here's the thing. In this courtroom, we don't pay for unserved work. So you chose to not go to work 2 days.
Correct.
So as far as this court is concerned, you forfeited your payment for those 2 days. You don't show up for work, you don't get paid. Plaintiff's case is dismissed. That's my ruling.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Eboni has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case is dismissed.
The scales of harmony. The mahogany doors of the courtroom creaked open with a grounded sense of authority, revealing a space where the air felt thick with the history of seeking truth. Above the bench, the nameplate sat polished and proud, catching the morning light in a way that commanded immediate attention. It read Judge Eboni K. Rose. For those standing before that bench, those few words represented the absolute boundary of their conflict. In this particular sanctuary of law, the only perspective that held the power to resolve their tangled lives was how Judge Rose saw the situation. She was a woman who carried her heritage like a vibrant tapestry, woven from the deep roots of North Carolina and the spirited soul of Louisiana. She balanced that Southern foundation with a certain West Coast cool and a sharp, unmistakable New York edge that could cut through any pretense. Judge Rose looked down at the woman standing to her left with a gaze that was both firm and observant. She asked if there was a problem, her voice echoing with a steady cadence. The woman, Jenny Sim, looked up and replied that she had no problem, addressing the judge with the honor due to her position. The judge nodded, reminding everyone present that equal justice was the cornerstone of the most important values of the country. It was about freedom and integrity, the very things she strived for every time she donned her robe. She reminded the woman that while one might run their own household, every individual has the right to run theirs. Judge Rose had chosen to become an attorney and pursue the law because she harbored a deep desire to be a voice for the voiceless. She understood that this court was a microcosm of society, filled with people from all sectors of life, whether they were black, white, purple, gay, straight, or queer. That diversity was the heartbeat of equal justice under her guidance. The case before her today involved a messy fallout between former housemates. Jenny Sim claimed she had been injured after the sister of her roommate shoved her during a heated argument. On the other side stood Carrie and Melissa Smith, who argued that the plaintiff was merely pushed away in a moment of defense after she had damaged Carrie's phone. The Smiths had brought a counterclaim for $251.28. Judge Rose greeted the ladies, noting the presence of Jenny Sim as the plaintiff and the sisters, Melissa and Carrie Smith, as the defendants. She acknowledged the suit for $430 and the counterclaim for the repair of the phone. Judge Rose turned her attention to Ms. Sim, asking why they were in court today. Jenny began her story, explaining that she was seeking $430 to cover medical bills from an emergency room visit. She had been living with Melissa for a period of time, and then Carrie had moved in. One night, a disagreement escalated into a physical confrontation. Jenny alleged that Carrie had pushed her, causing her to sprain her wrist when she fell. She explained that she and Melissa had been arguing, and then Carrie stepped into the middle of the conflict. The judge sought clarity on the relationships, asking how long they had known each other. Jenny explained that she and Melissa had met in college through mutual friends. They were not the closest of friends, but they were part of the same social circle. After graduation, Jenny believed they would be compatible roommates. Melissa had been a reliable roommate initially, paying her bills on time, which the judge noted was the most vital trait for a peaceful living arrangement. They had lived together for a year in a 3-bedroom apartment, using the extra room for guests and storage. However, the harmony was disrupted when Carrie moved in. It was supposed to be a temporary arrangement while Carrie was between jobs. Jenny had agreed to help out, expecting the stay to last perhaps 1 month. Instead, it stretched into 3. Jenny felt that Carrie was not being proactive in her job search and was essentially mooching off her sister and their roommate. The presence of a third person changed the dynamic of the home entirely. Jenny, who admitted to having a higher standard of cleanliness than most, found herself doing more than her fair share of the housework. While she had been fine with the occasional extra task when it was just her and Melissa, Carrie's arrival brought a level of clutter and mess that she had never had to deal with before. The tension finally boiled over on the 1st of August. Jenny had gone out for the evening and returned at 8 o'clock the next morning to find the common area in a state of total disarray. She had already expressed her frustrations to Melissa over the preceding months, but this was the breaking point. Judge Rose asked her to be direct about her actions. Jenny admitted that she popped off. She used strong language and yelled, expressing her anger at the mess. As the shouting match between Jenny and Melissa grew louder in the living room, Carrie emerged from her room and inserted herself into the fray. Jenny claimed that Carrie pushed her so hard that she hit the ground and injured her wrist. The judge examined the medical receipts. There were records for X-rays and non-surgical treatments, totaling the amount claimed. Although insurance had covered a portion, Jenny still faced a bill of $430, which she admitted was currently in collections. She was hoping a favorable ruling would allow her to settle the debt. Then it was Melissa's turn to speak. She portrayed a different version of their living situation. She had been excited to have her sister stay with them and had even invited Jenny to join their sister nights, which involved romantic comedies, wine, snacks, and blankets. Jenny, however, had declined to participate. On the night in question, the sisters had been enjoying one of these nights and had left their blankets and glasses out, intending to clean up in the morning. Melissa was woken up by Jenny storming through the door and screaming. Melissa tried to explain that she would clean it up, but the aggression was overwhelming. Carrie joined the testimony, stating that she had been woken up by the screaming and cussing. She saw Jenny in her sister's face and felt the need to defend Melissa. Carrie claimed that before any pushing occurred, Jenny had knocked Carrie's phone out of her hand, causing the screen to shatter. Carrie described it as a reaction of defense. She had stepped in to create space between the two arguing women. She alleged that Jenny swung her arm and hit the phone. Carrie presented a receipt for $251.28 for the screen replacement, which she had already paid. Judge Rose pressed Carrie on the physical contact. Carrie admitted to putting her hands on Jenny, but denied it was in retaliation for the phone. She claimed it happened simultaneously. She argued that the coffee table was very close and that Jenny was off balance, which contributed to the fall. The judge, however, was stern. She noted that putting hands on another person and propelling them physically constitutes a harmful or offensive touching, regardless of the presence of a table. The judge then turned back to Jenny, asking if she had intentionally swatted the phone. Jenny maintained that she was simply waving her arms to get Carrie out of her face. She claimed she was not even aware that a phone was in the mix. Carrie countered this, alleging that Jenny had specifically shouted for her to get that thing out of her face, indicating she knew exactly what she was hitting. After hearing both sides, Judge Rose was ready to deliver her verdict. She addressed the room with the wisdom of someone who had seen countless such disputes. She pointed out that when individuals have a signed roommate agreement, they must abide by its terms. While Jenny had not specified what temporary meant when Carrie moved in, 3 months was not an unreasonable time frame for a job search. However, the judge had strong words for Carrie. She noted that Carrie had voluntarily inserted herself into an altercation that did not involve her. By bringing her phone into a heated dispute, she had placed her own property in the line of fire. Therefore, the court would not recognize her claim for the phone damages. The counterclaim was dismissed. Turning to Jenny, the judge acknowledged the medical bills, but also highlighted Jenny's role in the escalation. By popping off and initiating a verbal assault, Jenny had invited a level of conflict that she could not control. While the injury was unfortunate, the judge determined that the responsibility for the situation was shared. The court ruled that Jenny was responsible for her own medical expenses incurred during the fight she helped start. The primary case was also dismissed. Judge Rose looked at the 3 women, hoping they would find a way to move forward with more grace and less hostility. As the proceedings concluded, Jenny had one final comment, noting that she had since gotten a cat that, despite leaving litter, was cleaner than her former roommates. The sisters simply wished her the best as they all exited the courtroom, leaving the echoes of their dispute behind them in the hallowed halls of justice. The scales of harmony. The courtroom was silent, save for the faint hum of the air conditioning and the rhythmic tapping of a pen against a wooden desk. Behind the elevated bench sat a woman whose presence commanded immediate respect. To any observer, the nameplate situated prominently at the front of the bench told the most vital story of the room. It read, Judge Eboni K. Rose. Judge Eboni K. Rose looked out over the gallery with a gaze that was both sharp and deeply intuitive. She began to speak, her voice carrying a rich, melodic tone that reflected a life of diverse experiences. She told those gathered that the only thing that mattered in this particular courtroom was how she saw it. She explained her heritage, stating that she was from North Carolina by way of Louisiana, carrying with her some West Coast cool and a sharp New York edge. Her eyes landed on one of the individuals standing before her. She asked if they had a problem, and the woman, a plaintiff named Jenny Sim, quickly replied that she did not. For Judge Eboni K. Rose, equal justice was the cornerstone of her philosophy. It was all about the most important values of the country, specifically freedom and integrity. These were the things she strove for every single day she donned her black robe. She looked at the parties and reminded them of a fundamental truth of life and law. A person runs their own household, and another person gets to run theirs. She had decided to become an attorney and pursue the law because she wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. However, she also knew the limits of the court. This court could not hold a person accountable if the facts did not align with the law. She saw people from all sectors of life, including black, white, purple, gay, straight, and queer. That was the essence of equal justice with Judge Eboni K. Williams. The case of the day involved 3 young women who had once shared a living space. Jenny Sim claimed she was injured after her roommate's sister shoved her during a heated argument. On the other side stood Carrie and Melissa Smith. They argued that the plaintiff was only pushed away after she had damaged Carrie's phone. The Smiths were countersuing for the sum of $251.28. Judge Eboni looked at the 3 women and offered a professional greeting. She identified Jenny Sim as the plaintiff and the sisters, Melissa and Carrie Smith, as the defendants. The judge noted that Ms. Sim was suing for $430, while the defendants were seeking their $251.28. She turned her attention to Ms. Sim and asked why they were in court today. Jenny Sim began her story. She explained that she was suing for the $430 she had accumulated in medical bills. She had been living with Melissa for a while, and then Carrie moved in. One night, an argument erupted, and Carrie stepped in and pushed her. This fall caused Jenny to sprain her wrist, leading to an expensive emergency room visit. Judge Eboni asked if the two had a fight. Jenny clarified that she and Melissa were arguing, and then Carrie stepped into the middle of it. The judge then sought to understand the relationships. Melissa and Jenny had met in college through mutual friends. They were part of a larger social group. While they were not the closest of friends, Jenny believed they would be compatible roommates after graduation. For the first year, the arrangement worked well. Melissa paid her bills on time, which Judge Eboni noted was the most important part of a compatible roommate. However, the harmony was disrupted when Carrie moved in. The 2 original roommates had a 3-bedroom unit, using the extra room for guests and storage. Carrie moved into that spare room. The tension began because the financial arrangement changed. Jenny agreed to let Carrie stay temporarily for free while she was between jobs. Jenny expected this to last perhaps 1 month, but it stretched into 3. She felt that Carrie was not being proactive in finding work. Furthermore, the presence of a 3rd adult changed the household dynamic. Jenny felt she was doing more than her share of the cleaning. While she had accepted doing a bit more when it was just her and Melissa, seeing the mess created by Carrie was more than she could handle. The breaking point occurred on August 1st. Melissa and Carrie had stayed home for a girls' night in, enjoying wine, snacks, and movies. Jenny had gone out. When Jenny returned home at 8 o'clock the next morning, she found the living room in a state of disarray. After months of simmering frustration, Jenny popped off. She admitted to the judge that she cussed at Melissa. The yelling escalated in the living room. Then, Carrie emerged from her room and stepped into the middle of the conflict. Jenny alleged that Carrie pushed her, causing her to hit the ground and sprain her wrist. Judge Eboni examined the medical receipts. The total for general hospital procedures and X-rays was significant, though insurance had covered some of it. Jenny still owed $430, a bill that was currently in collections. Melissa Smith then gave her side of the story. She testified that the first year had been fine, and she was excited to have her sister around. They had even invited Jenny to join their sister nights, which involved romantic comedies and snacks, but Jenny declined. Melissa explained that they had left blankets and wine glasses out because they went to bed late. She was woken up by Jenny storming in and yelling. Melissa claimed she was willing to clean it up but was startled by Jenny's aggression. Carrie Smith added a crucial detail. She claimed she woke up to screaming and cussing. When she saw Jenny in her sister's face, she stepped in to defend Melissa. Carrie alleged that Jenny first knocked Carrie's phone out of her hand. shattering the screen. It was only then that Carrie pushed Jenny away in a defensive reaction. Judge Eboni reviewed the receipt for the phone repair, which cost $251.28. Carrie had already paid this amount. As the testimony continued, the judge questioned the nature of the physical contact. Carrie admitted to putting her hands on Jenny, but claimed it was a simultaneous reaction to her phone being hit. She argued that Jenny fell because she was off balance near a coffee table, not because of an aggressive shove. Judge Eboni reminded Carrie that any harmful or offensive touching of another is considered an assault in the eyes of the law. The judge then turned back to Jenny, asking if she had swatted the phone. Jenny claimed she was merely waving her arms to tell Carrie to get away from her face. She denied intending to hit the phone or even being aware that a phone was there. However, the defendants insisted that Jenny had explicitly said to get that thing out of her face. After hearing all the testimony, Judge Eboni K. Rose was ready to rule. She addressed the women with the wisdom of the court. She noted that when a person has a signed roommate agreement, they must abide by the terms. While Jenny had not specified what temporary meant, 3 months was not an unreasonable amount of time for a job search. However, the judge found fault with Carrie's decision to voluntarily insert herself into a heated altercation while holding a cell phone. By bringing her phone into the line of fire, she took a risk. Therefore, the court would not recognize the claim for phone damages. The counterclaim was dismissed. Regarding Jenny's claim, the judge noted that Jenny had invited harm by popping off and initiating a high-conflict situation. A person cannot control the reaction they receive when they escalate an argument to that level. While the judge was sorry for the injury, she ruled that the $430 in medical expenses was Jenny's own responsibility. The plaintiff's case was also dismissed. As the proceedings concluded, Jenny Sim offered one final jab, stating that she had gotten a cat that was cleaner than the sisters. The sisters wished her the best as they all departed the courtroom, leaving the scales of justice balanced, if not entirely satisfying to any one party. The Honorable Judge Eboni K. Rose sat behind the elevated wooden bench of the courtroom, her presence commanding and composed. She adjusted her robe, her eyes scanning the room with a blend of sharp intellect and approachable warmth. Above her, the nameplate was clear for all to see. "I am from North Carolina by way of Louisiana," she said, her voice resonant and steady, with some West Coast cool and a New York edge. "So the only thing that matters in this particular courtroom is how I see it." She looked toward the individuals gathered before her. "Do we have a problem, ma'am?" "No, I don't, Your Honor," the plaintiff replied. "Equal justice is all about the most important values of our country," the judge continued. "Freedom, integrity, and those are the things that I am striving for. Ma'am, you run your household. This man gets to run his. I decided to become an attorney and pursue the law because I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. This court cannot hold this woman accountable. People from all sectors of life, black, white, purple, gay, straight, queer, come here seeking fairness, and that is what equal justice with Judge Eboni K. Williams is all about." The case before the court today involved Jenny Sim, who claimed she was injured after her roommate's sister shoved her during an argument. On the other side were Carrie and Melissa Smith, who claimed the plaintiff was pushed away only after she damaged Carrie's phone. The Smiths were countersuing for the amount of $251.28. "Hello, ladies," the judge greeted them. "I see I've got Jenny Sim here as my plaintiff and 2 defendants, Melissa and Carrie Smith. Ms. Sim, you are suing for $430, and I see the defendants are countersuing for $251.28. Ms. Sim, why are we in court today?" "Hello, Your Honor," Jenny Sim began. "We are here today because I am suing for the $430 that I accumulated in medical bills. I was living with the defendant Melissa for a while, and then her sister Carrie moved in. One night we had an argument and Carrie came in and pushed me. I sprained my wrist, and the $430 is the emergency room visit bill." "So you two had a fight?" the judge asked. "Melissa and I were arguing, and then Carrie stepped in the middle to do what I do not know," Jenny replied. The judge looked at the sisters. "Who is Melissa and who is Carrie?" "I am Melissa," the first sister said. And I am Carrie, the second added. The judge turned back to Jenny. So you said Carrie is who you are alleging put her hands on you? Carrie put her hands on me, Jenny confirmed. Okay, so tell me the context, the judge said. First of all, how do you know these two ladies? How long did you live with the first? Melissa and I met in college through some mutual friends, Jenny explained. We were in a mutual friend group. We were not the closest friends, but after college, I thought she would be a compatible roommate. Were you real friends, Ms. Sim, or were you frenemies? The judge asked with a hint of a smile. We were not frenemies, Jenny said. I deemed her a compatible roommate. And this was after graduation? Yes, a little bit after. We moved in together, and it was great. She was a compatible roommate and paid her bills on time. The judge nodded. That is the most important part of a compatible roommate. She was not the perfect roommate, but it was compatible, Jenny continued. Then her sister Carrie moved in. Melissa and I were living together for a year, and it was fine. Then Carrie moved in for just a few months, 3 months. The judge inquired about the living arrangements. Was this a 3-bedroom unit? Yes, it was a 3-bedroom, Jenny said. We had a spare room as a guest room and extra storage. Carrie moved into that room. And was she also paying? The judge asked. Were the bills split 3 ways? She was not paying, Jenny said. When we first discussed it, it was just going to be temporary. We were helping her while she was in between jobs. Oh, for free? The judge asked. And you agreed to that? Yes, because I did not expect it to be for as long as it was, Jenny admitted. We did not discuss exactly how long she would be there. What did you expect it to be, ma'am? I was thinking a month at the most, Jenny said. I hoped she would get a job within a month if she were being proactive. The judge asked how her presence affected the living harmony. It disrupted it, Jenny stated. The arrangement was fine before she got there. The only issue I had before was that I was doing a little bit more when it came to responsibilities around the household, like cleaning. I have a different standard than most people, so I was doing a little bit more, and I was okay with that. But once Carrie came in, there was more to do. The judge noted that this is often what happens when a third grown person moves into a residence. I would have to deal with seeing all that stuff around the apartment, which I never had to deal with when it was just me and Melissa, Jenny said. At what point does the confrontation occur? The judge asked. August 1st, Jenny replied. Carrie and Melissa stayed home one night for a girls' night in. I went out that night. When I got home in the morning, it was a mess. There had been many instances before where I spoke to Melissa about being upset with how things were. The judge leaned forward. What did you do, Miss Sim? Stop beating around the bush. I pretty much popped off on her, Jenny confessed. I went off. I was like, what is this? What does that mean? The judge asked. You popped off. You cussed her out. You yelled at her. What did you say? I would not say I cussed her out, but I cussed at her, Jenny said. I came home at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was a mess. So you cussed her out, the judge summarized. How did she respond? She got upset and loud too, Jenny said. We were in the living room yelling at each other about the mess. Why are you suing for $430? The judge asked. It is not against the law to yell. Then Carrie comes out of her room and gets in the middle of it and pushes me, Jenny explained. She got right in between us and then pushed me, and I hit the ground and sprained my wrist when I broke my fall. The judge asked for the receipts of medical expenses. After reviewing the folder, she noted the hospital procedures, x-rays, and treatment totaling a significant amount. Fortunately, insurance covered some, but $430 remained out of pocket. You have paid and settled this bill, ma'am? The judge asked. It is in collections, Jenny admitted. The judge turned to the defendants. Melissa, is she categorizing the roommate situation accurately? Yes, Your Honor, Melissa said. I was really excited to have my sister around. We even invited Jenny to attend some of the sister nights with us, but she was not partaking. What is a sister night? The judge asked, curious. Romantic comedy, wine, snacks, blankets, and we just veg out in our pajamas, Melissa described. And what happened that morning? We did leave our things out over the night, Melissa said. It was late, and we decided to go to bed. Jenny was not home. I woke up the next morning and Jenny storms through the door, starts yelling at me. I said I could get to cleaning it, but I did not know why she was being so aggressive. It woke up Carrie. She comes out, and what Jenny forgot to mention is that she knocked Carrie's phone out of her hand first. It fell and shattered, and out of a reaction of defense, that is when Carrie pushed her away. The judge looked at Carrie. Why were you in it? I woke up to screaming and cussing, Carrie said. I saw her up in my sister's face, and I wanted to defend her. I did not know she was upset about the mess. I stepped in the middle because they got really close to each other. I thought I was defending my sister. The judge asked about the phone. Was it smacked out of your hand? I was talking expressively, Carrie said. Jenny then overreacted and smacked my phone. She swung her arm, and it hit my phone and it fell. The judge reviewed a receipt for a cracked screen replacement totaling $251.28. Carrie confirmed she had already paid for it. The judge then addressed the physical altercation again. Carrie, you admit that at some point you did put your hands on this woman. Was that in retaliation? It happened as a reaction to my phone being knocked out of my hand, Carrie explained. It happened almost simultaneously. My phone fell, I swung back, and there was a coffee table very close to her. She tried to move around it, was off balance, and that is why she fell. She was not falling because I was aggressively pushing her. The judge was firm. I am concerned with you putting your hands on her and propelling her physically. That is a harmful or offensive touching of another. Did you invite the push, ma'am? She asked Jenny. No, ma'am, Jenny replied. But did she not also assault me by hitting my hand with my phone?
Carrie asked.
The judge questioned Jenny again. Did you swat her phone out of her hand? I was waving my arms to just get her away from me, Jenny said. She got right into the middle of us, so I said get away from me. My hand hit her hand or her phone. I did not intend to hit her phone. The judge noted a discrepancy. One party claimed Jenny said get that thing out of my face, suggesting awareness of the phone, while Jenny claimed it was all a blur. I think I have heard enough here, the judge stated. I am ready to rule. She looked at both parties. When you have a signed contractual roommate agreement, you have to abide by those terms and conditions. Melissa, you allowed your sister to stay. Jenny, you did not specify your expectation of what temporary meant, so the court does not feel that 3 months for a job search is extensive. However, the judge continued, Carrie, you voluntarily inserted yourself into an altercation which could have gotten physical. You brought your phone into the line of fire. You chose to do that. Therefore, your claim for $251.28 for your phone is not recognized. Your counterclaim is dismissed. The judge then turned to the primary claim. Ms. Sim, you are suing for $430 for your injury. The court feels that you also invited some level of harm when you, as you admitted, popped off. You cannot then control what the reaction is back to you. I am sorry you were injured, but the $430 you incurred is your fault. Therefore, the plaintiff's case is also dismissed. Both cases were dismissed. Do you have any final words for each other? The judge asked. You know, Jenny said after you guys moved out, I got a cat. And he leaves litter everywhere, and he is still cleaner than you guys. Congratulations, sweetie, Melissa replied. Wish you all the best, Jenny. The judge watched as they left. You guys enjoy your day in court. The gavel of justice. The atmosphere in the courtroom was charged with a unique energy, a blend of solemnity and a modern edge that reflected the woman presiding over it all. Anyone entering the room would immediately notice the nameplate sitting prominently on the bench. It read Judge Eboni K. Williams. To Judge Williams, that nameplate was more than just a title. It was a testament to a journey that spanned from the heart of North Carolina through the vibrant culture of Louisiana, finally settling into a sophisticated professional identity defined by West Coast cool and a New York edge. In this particular courtroom, the only thing that truly mattered was how she saw the facts. Her perspective was the final word, a perspective built on the bedrock of equal justice and the most important values of the country, freedom and integrity. These were the ideals she strived for every single day. Judge Williams looked down from her bench at the parties gathered before her. She possessed a keen eye for human nature, a trait developed over years of pursuing the law to become a voice for the voiceless. She saw a young woman named Jenny Sim, the plaintiff, and 2 sisters, Melissa and Carrie Smith, who stood as the defendants. The tension between the three was palpable, a lingering cloud from a domestic situation that had turned sour. The judge addressed the room with a calm but firm authority, asking if there was a problem. Melissa Smith responded respectfully, assuring the court that there was no issue. Judge Williams then turned her focus to the heart of the matter. She believed in the fundamental principle that every person has a right to govern their own household, a philosophy she applied to the case at hand. The dispute involved a claim of $430 brought by Jenny Sim against the Smith sisters. Jenny alleged that she had been physically injured during an argument, resulting in a sprained wrist and a costly visit to the emergency room. On the other side of the aisle, Carrie and Melissa Smith were countersuing for $251.28, claiming that the physical contact was a defensive reaction after Jenny damaged Carrie's mobile phone. Judge Williams looked at Jenny and asked her to explain why they were all in court. Jenny Sim began her story, her voice carrying the frustration of months of living in a difficult situation. She explained that she and Melissa had met in college through mutual friends. They were part of the same social circle, and while they were not the closest of friends, they seemed compatible enough to share an apartment after graduation. For the first year, the arrangement worked well. Melissa was a reliable roommate who paid her bills on time, which Judge Williams noted was perhaps the most important quality in a shared living space. However, the harmony was disrupted when Melissa's sister, Carrie, moved in. The original agreement, as Jenny understood it, was that Carrie would stay temporarily while she was in between jobs. This was a gesture of kindness to help a sister in need, and Jenny had agreed to it without setting a specific end date. In Jenny's mind, temporary meant perhaps 1 month at most. She expected a person in that situation to be proactive, applying for work every day rather than overstaying their welcome. Instead, Carrie stayed for 3 months without contributing to the rent or utilities, which remained split only between Jenny and Melissa. As the weeks passed, the living environment began to deteriorate. Jenny, who admitted to having a higher standard of cleanliness than most, found herself doing the majority of the household chores. While she had been willing to do a bit more when it was just her and Melissa, the addition of a third adult created a mess that she found unbearable. The presence of Carrie changed the dynamic from a quiet, functional home into a place of constant clutter and mounting resentment. The breaking point arrived on the 1st of August. Jenny had been out for the night and returned home at 8 o'clock in the morning to find the apartment in a state of total disarray. This was the culmination of months of suppressed anger. She had previously spoken to Melissa about her dissatisfaction, but on this morning, she decided to pop off. Judge Williams pressed for clarification on what that meant, and Jenny admitted she had yelled and used strong language, though she stopped short of saying she had cussed Melissa out directly. The shouting match escalated in the living room. Melissa reacted with her own raised voice, and soon the two were engaged in a heated verbal confrontation. It was at this moment that Carrie emerged from her room and inserted herself into the middle of the argument. According to Jenny, Carrie pushed her with such force that she fell to the ground. In the process of breaking her fall, Jenny sprained her wrist. She presented her medical records to the court, showing general hospital procedures, x-rays, and non-surgical treatments. The total bill came to a significant amount, and even with insurance, Jenny was left with an out-of-pocket expense of $430. Because the bill was currently in collections, she was relying on a favorable ruling from the court to settle her debt. Judge Williams then turned to the defendants to hear their version of events. Melissa Smith portrayed a very different picture of the household. She claimed that things were going well and that they had even invited Jenny to join them for sister nights, which involved romantic comedies, wine, snacks, and blankets in the living room. On the night in question, the sisters had enjoyed such an evening and had left their blankets and glasses out, planning to clean up in the morning. When Jenny stormed in at 8 o'clock, she was aggressive and loud. Melissa claimed that Jenny's behavior woke Carrie up and that the physical altercation began only after Jenny knocked Carrie's phone out of her hand, shattering the screen. Carrie Smith added her testimony, explaining that she had been asleep when she heard the screaming. She came out to defend her sister, seeing Jenny close to Melissa's face. Carrie admitted to stepping between them to create space. She claimed she was holding her phone and being expressive with her hands when Jenny swung her arm and hit the device. The phone fell and broke, and Carrie admitted to pushing Jenny away as a pure reaction of defense. She argued that Jenny fell not because of an aggressive shove, but because she was off balance and tried to move around a nearby coffee table. Carrie presented a receipt for the phone repair, which cost $251.28, an amount she had already paid and was now seeking as reimbursement. As the testimony continued, the details became increasingly contested. Judge Williams questioned whether the push was a form of retaliation for the broken phone. Carrie maintained it was a simultaneous reaction. Jenny, on the other hand, denied intentionally hitting the phone, claiming she was simply waving her arms to get Carrie out of her face. There was a direct conflict in the accounts. The sisters claimed Jenny had yelled for Carrie to get that thing out of her face, implying she knew the phone was there, while Jenny insisted she was only aware of Carrie's face being too close to hers. After listening to all parties, Judge Williams was ready to deliver her verdict. She addressed the complexities of roommate dynamics and the legal implications of their actions. She noted that while Jenny had a signed contractual agreement with Melissa, she had failed to specify exactly what temporary meant when she agreed to let Carrie stay. In the eyes of the law, 3 months for a job search was not an unreasonable timeframe for such an arrangement. However, the judge was critical of Carrie's decision to voluntarily insert herself into a heated verbal argument. By bringing her phone into a volatile situation, she had placed her own property in the line of fire. Therefore, the court would not hold Jenny responsible for the damaged phone. The counterclaim was dismissed. Turning to Jenny's primary claim, Judge Williams delivered a sobering perspective. While the physical contact was indeed a form of assault, the judge concluded that Jenny had invited a certain level of harm by initiating the high-conflict confrontation. By popping off and escalating the situation to a point of physical proximity and yelling, Jenny had lost control over how the other parties would react. Although the judge expressed sympathy for the injury, she ruled that the financial burden of the $430 medical bill was Jenny's own responsibility. With the strike of the gavel, Judge Williams dismissed both cases. The legal dispute was over, but the personal animosity remained. As they prepared to leave the courtroom, Jenny offered one final, biting comment, mentioning that she had since gotten a cat that was cleaner than either of the sisters. Melissa and Carrie simply wished her well, and the 3 women walked away, leaving the pursuit of equal justice behind them in the quiet halls of the court.